Kanye has been crazy, bipolar, and an anti Semite. Amazing song though. But he's never been washed. Well, unfortunately, it's not true anymore. My king, my glory, my everything is officially washed. And as much as I hate to bite into controversies and conspiracies, there's definitely something fishy going on in here. Or at least I think so. You must have seen a lot of headlines recently involving Kanye and a friggin' dentist out of all. Like, what even? But this rabbit hole that we have, it goes deep. It goes very deep. It involves a guy named Milo, some hanging titties, and well, music. And we're gonna break it all down right now in front of you. Before we get to the whole story, let's see why I think the story has some leverage to it. Now, I've been a fan of Kanye since high school. I never really got into him early on when people were listening to him, as I was more of an EDM head. But ever since I've gotten into hip hop, I don't think there's ever been anyone better than him. And I don't think there will ever be anyone better than him. He could make a banger, a country song, a love song, a heartbreak song, a gospel song, and well, waves. Everything pre Donda 2, except Jesus is King, has been universally loved. He was the reference for all the other artists, but he was my preference. So, what happened? It all started with his divorce, I think. The moment Kim left Kanye's side, he sort of became an untamed beast. He would go on these rants that weren't necessarily leading to something, whether it be his interview with Joe Rogan or the Drink Champs interview. He was ranting, he was angry. Naturally, I thought he was going to be making the biggest banger album of all time. But in return, I got a scam. Now, I didn't buy his album off of the Stemplayer website. I just pirated it like a normal human. And even me, being a professional Kanye glazer, could see that this shit was unfinished. Now, no worries in that. That's the way his genius works, right? We've seen it before. Life of Pablo, Donda, Ye. So I kept waiting and waiting, and well, nope, he forgot about it. I'd never seen Kanye abandon something like this. It felt like a fraud from him, the way he sold his Templars with the promise of all of his future albums on it. Finished future albums on it. Maybe even a future album on it. But he just sold his stuff and forgot to even deliver. And that's sad. There were genuinely some amazing songs on that album. We Did It Kid, This Is the First Time in a Long Time, and Pablo, to name a few. Then he just sort of went into this weird rant about different anti Semitic shit, about how everyone's out to get him, which I do think some people are. I don't think it's all in his head, even though a lot of the stuff is. Now, this part has been talked about a lot. I don't think we need to get over this again. Let's move on to the Vultures 1 and 2. They are a sex album, which is really weird for him. He has his daughter on the album, who is a minor, by the way. He's talking about how big, beautiful, titty, but I don't know, something, something. Now, I'm not the one to tell him about what sort of music to make. He obviously knows better than me. But I can't help and think that there's this huge hypocrisy going on in this album. One of my favorite Kanye songs is Violent Crimes, where he literally raps about being scared for his daughter, about how people might sexualize her. Now, seeing him rapping about titties and pussy while his daughter is on the stage seems very weird to me. And as per the album, there's definitely some amazing songs on the album, like Stars, King, Burn, but I expected a lot more. I literally shat myself when I saw this picture of Peggy and Kanye. But all I got was very safe music, and that's where my biggest issue is. These albums are safe. They're not the Kanye I remember. Kanye was someone who only took risks. Even in the most simplest songs, he made sure to add some parts that only he could add. But Vultures 1 and 2 felt very phoned in. It was like if Carnival worked on the first album, then we should go ahead and make almost everything sound like Carnival on the second one. Not to mention the AI verses. One, AI is the thing where I draw the line. And that's what happened with us. A rushed album with AI Kanye, where one song literally has a mix so bad it only plays in one ear. What the hell has happened to my king? So now let's get to the main story. It all starts with a guy named Milo something something. Now, Milo has been a Yeezy member in the past who recently broke ties with Ye because he wasn't comfortable with Kanye's porn venture. Now, Milo is not a reliable source in any way. This guy has made numerous statements in the past that have only got him into more trouble, but obviously Kanye being Kanye stuck by him. Even when Milo said Kanye tried to have sex with him. Gotta love Kanye, man. Now, Milo came out with this statement where he claimed that Kanye's dentist has been supplying him with nitrous oxide, which is highly addictive and in some cases may even lead to death. This works like any other drug, but it also leads to destruction of brain cells apparently. Now let's see what this statement is and why I think it's pretty reliable. And this is all thanks to Booby Lover 33 by the way on Reddit. First off, Milo's statement is a sworn jurat affidavit, which, if you don't know, means you are swearing to the courts that you are telling the truth. And if you are caught lying, there is a massive list of consequences that could possibly happen, like massive fines, lawsuits, jail time, deportation, etc. If Milo is genuinely trying to help you, which he has been trying to show, then this would make sense and is mainly the biggest selling point to why we should maybe be inclined to believe him regardless of his past. So the statement, this is from start to finish. Milo reported Thomas Connelly to the California Dentist Board for reckless, unethical, dishonest and illegal activities, which included unlawful supply of nitrous in enormous quantities, which was supposedly used for recreational use for Ye, which he, Thomas, personally delivered to Ye's house while charging him over 50,000 a month for the nitros. Now he says Ye was displaying symptoms from the nitros abuse, but Thomas still supplied him with it. He instructed him on how to use it, encouraged him without supervision, leaving him alone to lead to self-destructive consequences, while fraudulently extracting millions of dollars from an addicted and a dependent patient, while living in his apartment and lying about funds. Thomas sought to pay for violence against Milo. Thomas used cheap diamonds but charged for natural ones in his dental work for clients, and engaged in bankruptcy to evade taxes and judgments, and owes the cartel $2 million while laundering said money through his dental practice. Now, by April, employees at Yeezy were worried about Kanye's dependence on nitrous gas, However, Kanye insisted on working with Dr. Connelly, who he referred to as Tom, implying that their relationship was past the professional work setting. Now, Milo, with having years of interaction with Kanye, felt as he began talking to an entirely different person as his nitrous dependency became apparent. A junior staff member also reported seeing Thomas hauling large amounts of nitrous oxide tanks into Bianca's apartment and taking photos. Up to 5 Yeezy employees became concerned enough to start taking pictures of the nitrous which was piling up in Ye's home. When Thomas was confronted, he always insisted that the tanks were empty. Yeezy as a company was sending large amounts of cash to Thomas, including 61 grand in one payment for anesthesia and nitros, while Thomas continued to collect fees and expenses for stuff like flights and hotels, Paris and Florence, and so on. In the statement, it goes over the symptoms of nitrous oxide abuse, which can be deadly if not administered correctly, and cause stuff like cardiac arrest, neurological damage, which can be dangerous considering Kanye already has mental disorders such as bipolar disorder, with chronic exposure leading to long term damage to the spinal cord, which can affect movement, sensation, and a bunch of other issues. An employee reportedly saw Kanye self administering nitros without regulation, which also violates California's laws, by the way. Ye paid for housing for Thomas, claiming it was a studio, but it was just Kanye's apartment complex. This was later refunded. Now, Thomas exploited Kanye's psychological vulnerabilities to take advantage of him, to keep him hooked on nitros, and in turn keep collecting payments which were up to hundreds of thousands of dollars for nitros monthly. Statements reported these payments as dental work. When Milo retired from Yeezy, he sent a message to a group chat which included people closest to Kanye, urging them to address the situation and help Kanye and get Thomas out of his complex. Thomas reportedly tried to silence all of this, with paying to have a fan page took down and tried to hack Milo's accounts while attempting to retaliate against anyone who refused to engage him as a consultant. Thomas's associates was also linked to a sale of over $1 million relating to stolen Yeezy X Gap merch. Now, Kanye's assistant claimed that scans of Kanye's brain had showed permanent brain damage from nitrous abuse. Milo has called for federal law enforcement to investigate Thomas, emphasizing the urgency due to his predatory behavior towards celebrities, and believes this was also his plan towards Kanye, which has caused Kanye irreparable damage, including health and financially. This dentist that we are talking about now has worked on numerous notable clients like Shaq and Yachty and Post Malone. And I think you know what I'm trying to say here. I don't like this guy at all. I don't like Milo that much either, for the matter of fact. I've not even been a fan of Ye lately. But this photo that got leaked broke my heart for some reason. He's a father over everything. This addiction might cost those kids a father who can watch and help them grow. I won't wish that on the worst enemy. I just hope someone talks some sense into Kanye and tells him to stop this destructive behavior. This is not cool. Especially when they rob someone of an artist like Kanye. He's a generational talent. Nobody will ever come close to his legacy. And I would hate to wake up one morning and comment RIP on his image. That's not the timeline I want to be in. Anyways, what are your thoughts on this? Do you even believe these statements? If not, I'd love to know your side of things. Thanks, and see you in the next one.